often painting. And if you've visited her easel, it's so exciting to watch Zofia Wilamowska paint in acrylic and in oil. And her subjects are so amazing. They move my soul. The one right here that is particularly amazing to me, Zofia.
It's not finished yet.
It's not finished. Oh. But recently, I took a group of students to Chicago for a retreat. And they were from Nigeria and Ghana. And I heard stories of their immigration to their family, their lives, their struggle. And the conversation was, and I shared with you, some of you, fierce and gentle and contemplative at the same time. And that's, I am so moved by the fierceness, the amazing statements that you make in your paintings, and at the same time, we're left gazing, are we not? Isn't it amazing? Amazing. And as we hear the story of Zofia, we hear one of immigration from Poland, miracles followed by miracles, as you have decided to live here for your life. Your son, having been, creative and innovative, and deciding to live here as well. And so this is your homeland, Zofia. It is indeed. Tell us a little about that story.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. I was born in Poland, and I had a job. I had family over there, and I was a teacher. I've always loved art since I was a little girl. I was drawing, mainly drawing, also painting, but I didn't get any art education in Poland. It was here in the States when I came, and I'll tell you in a minute how it happened.
Did everybody hear that?
That here in the States I could start my art education first in Upper Arlington Senior Center, Jenny Center, CCD classes I had, very good, and also cultural arts. And I remember that once I wanted to come here and to talk in the inside, and I was driving around, couldn't find a place to park. So it was really terrible. I thought, no, I must come a different time, and I did, and I'm staying till today. Sometimes I think that it's like my other home, the home where I do not sleep. But I love this place, I love these people, everybody. And how it happened that I came here, I was a teacher, and in Poland, in those years, I don't know if it is still acting right now, but teachers could have a paid leave for health reason. You didn't have to be very sick, but just every 10 years, I don't remember exactly, you could have a leave. And so I did get 1 year leave, and I decided to see my friend who wanted to see me, my old friend from Poland. So she invited me, I stayed here, I did some babysitting, I remember, and there was, I wouldn't stay here illegally, that's for sure, because I had home over there, I had job. And it happened that there was a visa lottery. I think it's not working right now.
A lottery.
A visa lottery, and you could put different names, different addresses in separate envelopes, mail them in certain days, and you could win. I thought nobody would win from the family or friends, but it happened that my youngest son, who was in college in Poland, was a visa lottery. He was a winner. So he came here during vacation, summertime, so like 3 months. He worked in Pizza Hut because he had a work permit. He got a green card immediately. So it kept me somehow. I didn't leave because I have him here. He was supposed to come next vacation. And in the meantime, the next year there was a visa lottery again, and I put different names, lots of names of my friends, family, and I was the visa winner. I was really surprised.
She won. Yeah.
I got a big envelope. I was surprised. I didn't think I would win. I thought it was some millions, but my son got so, and I did it. So I got the green card, and after 5 years, I applied for citizenship.
The green card took 5 years before
Yes.
the application of the citizenship.
Yes, you have to wait.
As you applied for citizenship, what all did you have to do?
To apply for citizenship? Oh, just maybe all the necessary things. Just the forms. You had to be, of course, not sick or something like that. And there was a beautiful ceremony in a historical. What is the name? It was a very beautiful ceremony. And
that was like 1990 you came to the country. And when was this that you went through this ceremony of citizenship?
yeah, so I got the citizenship. I could sponsor my husband and my other son, Hubert, who works with the owner of the Hubert's Polish Kitchen in North Market, and he's working with with our youngest son, Peter. And we have grandchildren, so it's my home. I tell you something that I haven't told to many people. When I was on my first flight from Warsaw to New York, and then to Columbus, and the plane was coming down, I could see the houses bigger and bigger, and I had a very weird feeling that I am coming home. But it was really, I was surprised, I'm coming home. And it is my home, really, my home, my grandchildren, my granddaughter Zofia, who is a very talented, also artistic person, and my other grandson Luka, we call him Łukasz in Polish. They can both speak Polish, and reading maybe not so good with Luka. He has some problems, but Zofia reads very well and he speaks. And they go to Poland with their dad, see interesting places. They love the mountains, so they do some climbing, not very difficult climbing, but they love climbing. Krakow is beautiful, so all this, there are so many nice places to see. And I'm glad that they can speak Polish. They also speak some Spanish.
Wonderful. Now this is, again, your...
This is My youngest son, children, we had another, Hubert had another daughter. And a tragedy happened when she was visiting Poland. A speeding driver killed her at spot. Yeah, so it was a tragedy for Hubert, yes, and for the family. She would be here over 20, I think, 24, 20. Beautiful, nice girl. And she liked to help Hubert when he was not the owner yet, but he worked in North Market, in poultry and game, and she liked to help.
Oh, and he has Hubert's Polish Kitchen in the North Market. Wonderful.
Yeah, say hi when you see Hubert.
Are those sweets from there? Or sweets stuff? Are those treats from there?
No. They don't bake. They make pierogies or bigos or different salads.
Chicken meatballs this big. I hear. I've never had it. Every week.
And coleslaw. Peter is perfect in making coleslaw.
I was telling Zofia that Franklin University student and I went to the North Market. She was from Poland. And she said, now I've got to get you pierogies. And we were obviously at Hubert's Polish Kitchen, but we were on our way to visit the Bishop of Columbus, who was from Poland, and his mother from Poland. And I usually ask him for a donation, and I thought, well, take Mirella Jurassic with me. Well, I didn't have to do anything. I just sat back, and those two talked Polish foods, and his mother, and we got our donation. It was wonderful. Oh, so, tell us about this gift of painting that you have, and show us these beautiful works.
Okay, maybe first this subject is not the first that I started with. I love nature, and our planet is so beautiful. Flowers, animals, anything. So I did, and Todd will show there will be some maybe not, I don't know if or later there will be some flowers and some other stuff. Some of them, not all. You can see more in Unitarian Universalist Church at the exhibition. It's open right now, and the reception will be on the 25th. It's Palm Sunday at 12 o'clock till 2:30. So you will see many more. And so there is so much beauty around us, but we can find beauty we can find beauty in almost anything, in a white flower, but there is also a lot of suffering caused by humans to humans, and it's been for millenniums, for years and years, and humanity didn't learn anything. There were wars. I was born in the middle of World War II, and when I was not even 3 years old, and my mother said I couldn't remember that, but I did. I took a pencil and I drew a room where we were supposed to be shot by a German officer. I remember everything even now, where all the tiny pieces of furniture were, where I was planning to hide when the door is open. He was shooting through the windows, trying to climb, but fortunately he was drunk and he couldn't enter, but he tried to force the door, and I could see the light when the door was going ajar. And I knew that I would hide under a very low sofa. My mother wouldn't do that because she was too big. But fortunately, they took him, and I'm still alive here, and my mother survived too. Lots of other things. So, I had several exhibitions in Northwood Art Space, and last year there was an exhibition entitled "Where Do You Come From?" It was a presentation of two kinds of immigrants and refugees. Those who came to the United States in the 19th and 20th centuries, and those fleeing war and persecution right now. And it was then when I started thinking about human destiny as a subject of my next series of painting, comprising life in general, in different cultures, peace and war, where a newborn child can be a fruit of love, fruit of war, and fruit of politics. There are the three paintings on the right. The first one is like fruit of love, fruit of war, where we can see the girl with the baby in the camp.
Do you think we could hold that one up?
And the last one is not just finished, the one on the left. The fruit of politics. So I am planning to paint something more. I have something in mind. I take inspiration from media, from internet, and then I can make some changes, maybe 2, 3 paintings, photos, and I make one like this one. Yeah, it was a little bit different person, but I like the eyes. It's, of this Syrian theater about the woman on the street. Yeah, this is from two immigrants. Yeah, lots of people were fleeing persecution, like these Jewish gentlemen, and that flying persecution right now. And I'd like to say something about this painting, which was so nice of Inga Smith to share her memories when the family was fleeing World War II, when the war just started and the family could not leave from Germany. They had to go to Holland, to Netherlands, and from there to the States. And here, Inga is such a wonderful person, a wonderful photographer. We will all love her. So from her early age. Yeah. And on the boat, she's on the boat, and then in high school, and here in Columbus.
Really honored for that.
Pardon?
I said I'm really honored that.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I am. Thank you so much for sharing me all this story. Yeah, about Inga's uncle, who was in Dachau concentration camp for having a radio.
With my father.
Yes, but fortunately they made it. He bribed somebody and he is alive. But my uncle, because my paternal grandmother was German, my dad's uncle was also in concentration camp, but he died there. Was not guest, of course, but
It was my father,
they
not my uncle.
yeah.
I just wanted to share that I am a Holocaust survivor from Germany.
Okay,
And I came to
Jean,
this
why don't you
country
take the
when I was-
microphone there for a minute?
I said I was a Holocaust survivor from Germany, and I came to this country when I was 4 years old, and that was before World War II. And we had to have a sponsor, and my father's sister lived in Chicago. So we came to Chicago, and that's where I grew up.
Here's I started when I started thinking about human destiny, and I wrote a small poem first in English about human destiny, our Earth's work, and I sent it to my friend in England, Eva Chandler, my old friend from Poland, and she made some designs. I can share it with you. It's not it goes apart a little bit, but okay. So just like I said in this poem, there are different chapters in our lives. So I think everybody knows this from the very beginning, even before we are born. This is also a chapter because it influences it when even the baby is not born. If it's terrible conditions, or the mother is beaten or something, it influences the child. So there are our chapters in different. This is the first one that was over there. I'm planning others. So each step is very important when we live. It can change completely our lives. So this is the poem is about the meaning of each step, everyday problems. We sometimes worry about those problems. Sometimes we shouldn't. They're not so important. We should. Yeah, we forget that we are like walking souls, learning to love one another, and thus creating our destiny. Love is the strongest feeling. It can change everything. So yes, show there's different. Sometimes in between I do some flowers, paint some flowers. This was the same, I think. And sometimes I think, why is it so difficult for humans to love one another? Where there are wars? Just my paintings and are just for people to think about, not cry, but think about it and maybe do something. That's where I think we are here on this planet, just for this reason, to do something.
Zofia, what's happening in this painting?
This is from Angel Island immigrants. Angel Island. These are from the other one is Angel Island is on the near California. There is some kind of a museum. I've never been there. It's not as popular as Ellis Island, but maybe it's mostly Asian people came through that. Yes.
Oh, is this the original right here behind Todd? Uh-huh. The one you have there? What's happening there?
They are in Ellis Island.
Uh-huh.
They have just come. Came for freedom. We don't appreciate, I think, here in the States what we have. It's not ideal, it's not heaven, of course, but people...
You want to see what's on the screen.
Oh, this is some Vietnamese or on a boat with a little baby.
What was that, Sophia?
Just Vietnamese woman escaping suffering.
Your gift for shading and texture, did that just, where did you were at CCAD for a while, how did you learn that here? Did Michael come up and say, now I think if you, or did that all just come from you naturally?
I think naturally. I think naturally. I was drawing and painting, and mostly drawing in Poland. And I remember when there was a martial law imposed in Poland, so it was really hard. And even so, I was drawing more and more. And I remember, I think I told you that, well, last time, that my dad, because he was half German, so it was in Poland, and after the war it was something like a spy or so. So they were looking at him suspiciously. He didn't finish his music education, but he was a violinist. He composed, and he met with his friends, musician friends, after work. And it was he was a barber, my mother was a hairdresser, and of course they were listening to Radio Free Europe, Radio Washington, all those stations in Poland that were forbidden. It was a crime. And we listened at home, but it was really a crime to listen in public, because in the barbershop after it was closed, but still it was like a barbershop. And the Polish KGB asked all those guys, there were 5 of them I think, if they listened to Radio Free Europe or the Washington. And everybody said, no, I don't remember, except one. This one told the truth, and it was enough for my dad to stay in prison for a year. And they wanted to kick us out of the house, lots of other things. My mother had a very hard time, but she was strong. She was not strong, I mean, like a person, physical, but her mind was strong. She was psychological. Yes, she was strong. We didn't feel much of this tension. But it was then I understood. I was the oldest at home. I understood that, and my therapy, now I know it was a kind of a therapy, because I could see my dad in 2 prisons, but we couldn't hug each other. He was like in a cage. Couldn't touch him at all. But I was brave. I told my mom, I promised that I will be smiling, giving him hope. And I did. And so my therapy was in those times to draw. I remember there was one room that was not used. I was sitting there and was drawing anything, something in the corner, something outside, lots of things, and it helped me. It was a kind of a therapy, so that I didn't go crazy.
Now, what about the painting behind you?
Oh.
The perspective.
Oh, this is finding something. Yeah, I find something interesting, and I just I don't know where I found it on the internet. Just I think it was in Warsaw. Just the windows. Yeah, I called it. I don't remember how I called it. You could see something behind, another window behind, another window behind.
Now, do you draw that first in terms of perspective? How do you do that?
I draw this one. I draw. Sometimes I draw with a brush. Sometimes with a charcoal or a pencil, and just general, not details. And then I paint. This was the wall was kind of the original is just looks like a real wall. I put some medium that made it look like a wall with some stones or something.
She has a question. Yeah, it's not a question, it's
Yeah.
a statement. I have to admire your strength of character, because you are a miracle. Because what you have been through and how you have become what you have become is brilliant. And I'm very impressed by you.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much. Many more people suffered more. It was
Well,
not
I don't know.
anything special, maybe. I think I was lucky to have a loving family, because a love in the family is the most important thing. I had a loving family. Even if my dad was taken, I felt good. I understood that what happened to my dad, but there was love. It's different. That is different cultural, because here in the States, sometimes people say, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you." I could see some people that they won't love, but they say, "I love you, I love you," and we didn't hear these words, "I love you," but it was a hug, showed in different ways, and I knew we were loved. So that is a culture. Sometimes
That house behind you that you have painted, gorgeous.
Oh,
A feeling of love.
I tell you something about it. I remember it was a very humid day. Humid days, I'd say. Terrible. And our conditioning broke. So it was really hot, humid. And when I was painting this, I was feeling better, because it was snow. So I remember it was funny. I just go and paint, because I feel better, colder, a little bit.
And cozy and warm and filled with love. That's gorgeous. Again, the perspective that you have. That's beautiful.
Oh, I've never forget these terrible days with air conditioning broke.
Oh.
Oh, this is something I found on the internet. It was changed a little. I always change or take some two photos reference, and just poor woman with a child in Syria, I think it was. And because I like to paint, and I even started painting with. This is I found it was a different picture, but I saw this boy at the hand of a man. He was just lost in Syria, I think, and I just made some changes, but the eyes and the frightened boy. Just for people to think.
You catch his soul.
I always like to paint something that I feel emotional about. So when I find something, it works. And
Why don't you go back to the beginning of that, so you can talk about some of the other pictures.
say it again.
Maybe talk about some of the earlier pictures. Yeah, like this one. This one.
Earlier than this.
No, that. What's the story of that little girl?
Oh, I found something on the internet, the girl, the different age, but her eyes caught my attention. So I did make some changes, but the eyes, I think, are the same, and the face was I don't know, just some scars or something. I also like to, as far as I remember, I always like to draw portraits, I'd say. The first one I did to my sisters, and I was surprised that it looked like her. And I gave it to my dear friend in those days. So, and now here in Cultural Arts Center, like drawing and painting is very, very helpful. And I also go to McConnell Center for portrait sessions once a week, so they're also good. It helps. Yes?
Yeah, I was wondering, what kind of paint do you use? What kind of paint do you use? What kind of paint do you use?
Like acrylic or oil?
Those are acrylic. I started with oils, and I am coming back to oils.
Okay.
The portraits are, so they are. Yeah, it's a different. Maybe I think oil acrylic too, but I just feel like I need oils.
Now tell us why. What does oil do for your paintings?
Oh, it's just First of all, they don't dry as fast as acrylics. So I can work smoothly. I have more freedom. I can make the designs cycle. And it doesn't dry.
And
It
Todd's
doesn't
going
dry.
like this. Todd knows, huh? Do you want to comment on that, Todd?
Well, I think oil has a saturation of color that acrylic does not. You can't achieve the same color, a saturation as acrylic. So that's an advantage to oil. But yeah, it takes a long time to dry.
Yes, it takes a long time to dry. I was preparing oils, and my friend gave me a book about acrylics. So I started experimenting with acrylics, and I was doing oils and acrylics, and it was like schizophrenic somehow, changing. You know, you have to have a very large studio to have stuff. So now it's acrylic, they are acrylics, but I miss oils. I did some watercolors. I have good paintings in watercolors, but I don't paint watercolor now. It's hard, but it's and you have to put the glass. You know, You have asked a
So
question.
which one did you say wasn't finished yet?
The left one on the left.
This one?
This yes, it's
All right,
not finished.
how are you going to go about that? Did you draw this first?
No. I just with acrylics. With acrylics with some medium that it was slow driving.
So what's your plan for it? What are you going to do?
What I change it? It's
As it is not finished yet, what are you
What does
planning?
it need?
I know. I must check some details, maybe on the faces, on the tree, and the boy.
Texture. You're amazing with texture and shading. Wow.
Thank you. Oh, in North Market, in Hubert's Polish Kitchen, there is a mini exhibition of my friends' paintings and mine. So if you are there, you just see. They're not too many. Hubert allowed us to have a space where we can hang out.
Wonderful. Yes, Inga.
I've just been sitting here and looking at that painting. And what I'm seeing is that a very happy time, especially in the first picture where I have the girl with the flowers in my hair and we're out in the country. And there's a long story attached to that second picture about going to the beach with my father who almost let me drown. And then that third picture was a portrait that my aunt and uncle had taken of me and my brother and my mother and father before we left. They stayed behind in Germany. And then went through all that's in the middle there. And then the picture next to it is of me on the boat coming over in my immigrant clothes, which were very painful when I first started school in this country, looking so out of place. And then I'm just seeing the end, and I've emerged, and I'm back to the beginning with a very happy life.
What grade did you start with?
Well, I was supposed to be in second grade, but I started first grade because I couldn't speak English. So as soon as I spoke English, I went to third grade. My brother, who was 2.5 years older, also went to first grade because the first grade teacher had a German-English dictionary. And she carried it around under her arm, looked up the words. And you might be interested in this story. I don't know if I mentioned it when I did my program, but I was assigned a student in the first grade class. My brother was assigned a student in the fourth grade class. And in those days, you came home for lunch, you know, and you walked to school. And these two kids were assigned to us to pick us up in the morning, walk us to school, walk us home for lunch, walk us back after lunch, and they did that for the whole year, because we came to school in January, so I did that the whole rest of the school year, and that's how I learned English, because my friend Elaine, with whom I'm still dear friends, first grade friend, would say, house, tree, car, and I don't remember this, but a story has been told that at one point Miss Dorothy Graves, the teacher, kept in touch with her until she died, was reading a story, holding the book up, and there was something about a bush, kids hiding in a bush or something, and she said, I raised my hand and said, no, Elaine said tree. And that's how I learned English. And she got me my first library card and took good care of me. And my brother's mentor, shall we say, I don't know if you remember the famous Brinks robbery in Boston. He was one of the Brinks robbers. Didn't know it then, of course, but when it all came out, so we have a little touch with history. Grew up in Boston. So that's what, I'm just revisiting all of those things.
And you became an English teacher.
I did.
Uh-huh. Yes. And you taught, did you teach mostly in Columbus or in Boston?
No, I started teaching in Connecticut. I'm in New England,
Ah, yes.
Started in Connecticut, then I taught in Quincy and Braintree, Massachusetts. And then in Fremont, Ohio, and then down here at East Lake Cruz.
Uh-huh. Wonderful.
And you know, she
Great
was
story.
Ohio Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
Ohio Teacher of the
What
Year.
was that?
1983.
Oh my gosh. And it all starts with house.
My friend Elaine became a teacher also,
Ah, isn't that a
and a
beautiful story?
principal.
Well, it does bring to mind and heart how we are called to care for those who are experiencing moving into our country. And we were cared for. The Irish were very much cared for. And it is an endearing story in my life, as how many stories are here? Aha. And Zofia, and I want to say it, Wilamowska. You call us to this beauty of your life, and you're suffering, and you're going through it, and I'm so glad that kind of resiliency had you find that parking place that day, so that you are here at the Cultural Arts Center and you go through each time. The Friends of the Cultural Arts Center are now giving parking, what would you call them, little honorariums? And so I was just delighted to be able to give you one today, Sophie. After all those times you're paying for your own parking, we are giving out a parking pass. And we are so glad you have come to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.